Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce out. Another fantastic goal by Marco Royce. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond compare.
Das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inzo an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!
Then I was like, oh, they're playing so well. Everything's going so swimmingly. I'm like, oh, great. This is going to be a great game to watch. And then shit hits the fan. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, Dortmund is Dortmund. I'm blaming you.
I know. Apparently, me tuning in just swapped the entire thing. Like, it's crazy.
Yep.
Ever since Eli brought up that stat of Emre Can and not winning. No, I meant I mean multiple, like a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, well,
like since then I saw the lineup and I was just like, shit.
Are we shocked? Like,
oh my
no, it's Dortmund.
Some people are. Someone in the DC group chat was like, Emre Can's like not been bad. I'm like, at what?
There was that. What team were we playing against? Where like three of them went for the ball and all missed. Like there was like one stupid cheap goal that went in. I forget what game this was.
I can picture the goal in my head.
It was Chen's fault. He couldn't catch up to his defender, and then he tries to put his foot in late, and there you go.
Oh, was that? No, it wasn't.
Hey, look at the.
No. Maybe it was.
Oh yeah, it was. No, it was. Was it?
I was thinking the Furyk one where he gives it to Undav, but that feels wrong.
It was Mazza's goal.
Oh, in the cup.
Three of them went for the ball, and Chan couldn't catch his man and puts his foot in late, and sometimes.
I mean, it's like it's not entirely, but like. Then even if we talk about like the red card and we talk about like the pass that precedes it, it's like that's only happened with Sean on the pitch. So like that's not to forgive the person who's playing the terrible hospital pass, but that's also not to say that having that weakness in terms of like in possession in your back line, like that's still having an effect. Like if you look at like Ben Sebaini and Schlotterbeck and you look at like what they're doing on the ball, the way they're able to receive the ball in the press, and you have a guy that's, even if he's in the right areas, he's not comfortable receiving under pressure. You're not trusting him to pass to. He's not really capable of playing the forward passes. Like he's just taking away space from everyone else. And it allows you and encourages you to press the team higher up the pitch. Because if it's like Anton there, who like hasn't been the best at progressing the ball at Dortmund, but he's been like fairly like good at retaining the ball, then that to me is like it's a whole different thing if you're trying to game plan out a press against Dortmund's backline with whoever at right-sided center back, central center back, like. However you want to construe it with the two left footers or Anton and Anselmino in there, it's just such a different like game plan that you would have going against Dortmund, I feel like.
And the crazy thing is we're not like even in a situation where like Chan needs to get all these minutes. Like he can get minutes in a pinch, but like we have other options.
There are options, yeah.
And I'm just like, okay.
Well, in this game there really weren't other options.
Anselmino and Anton both out.
And
you have Benzabaini and Schlotterbeck in the middle, Rierson and or Puto and Svensson. There's your back line. I would trust that way more than having Chan back there.
Yeah, like going to the 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen that that's not really an option for Kovač, and
Kovač doesn't love that though.
That's part of your issue.
Yeah.
But it's not like you can go Sula there. He's just back from injury. They clearly don't rate Filippo Mane that highly. But
I think I prefer Sula.
Is that a ice cream truck?
No, that was my my washing machine is done. Sorry, I did not close the door. to my office. But yeah, so like those are your options. Which would you have done? So Brian would have gone the 4 at the back. Joey, let's hear from you. Like,
all right, so no Anton, no Anselmino. I mean, Bensebaini, Schlotterbeck, and yeah, shit. I probably would also go to the back 4. Because at least we have options for wing backs. Both Kuto and Rierson can go up the pitch, drop back in a pinch, and also cover the central defense position. But again, like Kovač definitely likes the back 3, so I'm not really sure. Or honestly, I'd give a young guy a chance, and I'm starting to wonder a little bit if part of Dortmund's lack of matriculation from the youth squad to the senior squad like has a little bit to do with the fact that we just never play them, because how do you know when one of these guys is going to have a big moment or two, and that could be a breakout, but they never get the chance. I mean, they even at halftime showed Tom Rotha's first goal for Dortmund, and I was thinking, guy makes a couple appearances, looks very promising, and then nothing.
I mean, what if he never broke his arm, dude? That guy would be...
We kind of talked about this last season, too, where it's like Kovac's tactical flexibility, right? Like, we all kind of talked about how that might be an issue going into the season, because he's very rigid in what he likes to do. And we're kind of seeing that. We're all like, oh, yeah, let's see if he's able to move things around. This is a situation where you kind of have to. Unless you want to be rigid and play a player that, perhaps doesn't have the legs that they used to have and can't really play that position as adequately anymore. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And the other thing for me is we get the red card 53rd minute. We bring on a substitution. We take off a striker. And the last time we had like a 1-0 lead, we subbed off a striker. It was Sergio Grassi for Fabio Silva. We kept on the pace while we had a positive game state, and it worked out for us, and we scored a second goal. Am I misremembering? Kovač isn't remembering, because what does he do? He leaves on Sergio Grassi, and like, no disrespect to Sergio Grassi, who is having like, by his standards over the last 2 years, he is having a horrific campaign. Horrific. But he's still probably the best number 9 on Borussia Dortmund. Probably. I wouldn't guarantee it. I've been one of the harshest critics. And so for me, I have no clue what Kovač is thinking when he leaves in Grassi with 10 men. You're playing with 9 now. Like, without the ball, it makes no sense.
I had the exact same thought, because when we're parking the bench down a man, Guirassy is not going to be the guy that receives the long ball from Schlotterbeck or from Kobel to then counterattack. He can't really sprint, and I was I was left kind of baffled by that decision, because like, what is Guirassy going to do on a counterattack unless he's just hanging out way up the pitch, and we're lucky that if somebody runs up the field on a wing, but without Adeyemi out there, we did nothing after that red card.
I think the goal was to kind of just hold on to the 1-0 lead, and that clearly didn't work out. And I mean, I thought it was going to be a dangerous thing, a man down. Like, when you do go a man down, the other team's going to press you, the other team's going to attack you. I think you do need that outlet. I think you need that counter threat. Like, I understand trying to lock it down. Like, we were basically playing like a back 5 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I understand to a degree, but also if you have nothing for the other team to think about on the other side, you get kind of what happened, in my opinion.
But like, if I'm a manager, or if I'm a center back, whatever it is, and I know that we're about to go on the attack more, like, even though that, like I just said, Guirassi's probably still right now the better player. Probably. We'd have to see more from Silva from the start. We just don't have the sample size yet. who would I rather play against, and who is going to be easier for me to defend when we have more of the ball? It's Serhou Guirassy, because he's not going anywhere. You don't have to worry about him. What's he going to do? Run the channel? Like, if you're a professional soccer player in the top flight of a top 5 league, you have no issue keeping up with not Emre Can, excuse me. You'd have a harder time keeping up with Emre Can than you would Serhou Guirassy. Like, the guy is not a runner. He's not going to defend off the ball. He's not going to work off the ball. And so, from a defensive standpoint, you probably prefer Fabio Silva because he's a bit more agile. He's a bit younger. He is a bit more willing in the press. That's not a controversial statement. And he can also run a channel. We've seen him run the channels. He can run out wide. When Serhou Guirassy goes out wide, it's like a headless chicken because he just can't run fast enough to cut inside. He is a little too slow in the decision making to make the right pass from the wing right now. There's just nothing to worry about for me. With 10 men, it's like maybe we get a set piece, but it's not like Fabio Silva's a short guy. It's not like we're not playing we're playing 3 center backs in Felix Nmecha. You have 5 aerial threats right there between the other striker, your 3 center backs, and Nmecha. And Guirassy's probably better than 1 or 2 of them, but it's not worth a third choice set piece target to stay on the pitch.
No, and it was Pascal Gross who came on for Silva, I think, to kind of help shore up the defenses. And I mean, it's another case where Pascal Gross is very gifted, but he's not going to be able to. He can't run like some of these young guys can. And I do think that in the situation that Dortmund were in, a man down, a player like Karim Adeyemi could have made a difference, even if it was just keeping a couple extra Freiburg players on their toes, because he does have that counterattacking threat. And he's been a bit inconsistent, but he was also very self-critical after the Bodo Glimt game. And I do think that Adeyemi was kind of going to go out with something to prove and really can't do that with 4 minutes. And regardless of whether or not Adeyemi could have scored or something, he can run, and that is a consistent thing. So
even Max Bayer
exactly. I mean, just somebody who could potentially do something, because what that substitution kind of signals to a team like Freiburg at that point is we're going to hang back and absorb all of the pressure. And I mean, maybe some teams can do that, and maybe that works once in a while, but we've seen too many times this season and with Borussia Dortmund that trying to hold on to a 1-0 lead doesn't really work the way that maybe we hope it would. And it was almost like a little reminiscent of some of the Terzic ball era.
It also kind of reminded me of part of Şahin's stint, because when Guirassy actually ended up being fit to finally play, we weren't feeding him initially under Şahin the way that we saw under Kovač when he came in, and he got the best out of Guirassy as well. Obviously, Guirassy was still scoring, but you saw, if you don't feed the guy, he's a phenomenal finisher. It's kind of like what Eli was saying. At the end of the day, he's not going to be making those runs. He's not going to be doing those things. It's just he's not as much of a threat unless you're able to get into those positions and feed him. And if you're not able to do that, well, then,
I don't know what else there is to say about this match, honestly.
We'd like to welcome our listeners.
Oh, God. Let's hear from Gregor Kobel. He said, I felt that he had plenty of space. Ultimately, I need to ensure that I deliver a better pass. It is unfortunate for him that he is now out of action. I accept responsibility for that. I need to play the ball better. Unfortunately, misunderstandings occur in football. We were under a lot of pressure. I felt we were sitting very deep and were only defending. Of course, it would have been nice if we played a bit more in those situations. In any case, we are disappointed with how the game went. The red card hadn't happened, the game would have been different. we hadn't conceded much up to that point and were very dominant. Then they became very strong and had a lot of chances. We're not playing very well. Like, up until that point, Borussia Dortmund had 9 shots to like 8. We were +1 in terms of shots. After that moment, we were like -1 million. No, it was like 13 shots unanswered from Freiburg.
I mean, I guess I would argue that before the red card, we had some pretty decent chance creation and perhaps the better opportunities, but the finishing wasn't there. I mean, there were a couple instances that I feel like this could have been 2-0 or 3-0. But I mean, like Guirassy had a couple that he missed from fairly close range, and yeah, so lack of finishing. But Freiburg certainly had their chances too. And then after the red card, it was like there was no attack from Dortmund.
That kind of comes down to like what we were just talking about, the setup, right? But I guess just to talk a little bit about the Koval thing, it's funny because I just wrote a piece for GGFN for their top 100 Bundesliga players, which Koval features in. And I was talking about how like this season we'd seen like a marginal improvement in like those like you don't get those like as many of those bad passes from the back as we'd seen in previous seasons. And I was like, okay, we're playing a little bit better. And I do think that has a little bit to do with what we were talking about earlier with the players that were in front of Koval as well. When you have a player like Chan there, I mean, he's not able to react as well, right? But it's just funny that the minute that this piece has like been sent in, I'm like, damn, like I'd like to have my draft back to do a little bit of editing there, because at the end of the day, like he's a world class shot stopper, that we can say, but his play with his feet isn't great. Like he's not good with the ball at his feet. We know this, but I was optimistic, you know. I was like, there have been improvements. It's not as bad as it was, and then this happens. Granted, like he says, mistakes happen, and we can't, you know, completely just throw him under the bus and be like, oh, okay, like he's just terrible at this point. But it is stupid, and it's worse because it compounds the other results that we've had in recent weeks. I think it's been 4 wins or something like that, 5 draws and a couple losses in like the last like 10-11 games or something like that. Don't know. I saw it earlier today. I don't know the exact spread, but it's pretty rough.
Since losing to Manchester City, we have 4 draws, 3 wins, and a loss.
There you go. That's what it is. So even worse than what I just projected there. So it's like this compounds on it, and it's like you want to start seeing the ship turned in the right direction and progress made. And we hear these comments every week saying like, "Oh, we're trying to learn from our mistakes." But it's like, well, let's see that, you know. Because at this point, like it's getting pretty dire.
Yeah, I mean, Kovač he's pretty good at not losing, but we need to get better at winning. And I mean, like a draw here and there is okay. Like if you look at the season so far, I think we have 3 losses. I mean, it's Bayern Munich, Manchester City, and Leverkusen in the cup. All really good teams, if we're honest. But those draws start to add up, and those draws are why we're still like 9 points behind Bayern in the table. And like that's the thing. And it's not just the fact that we are getting draws; it's how we're getting draws. Because in a lot of these cases, we are not closing out matches, or we're dropping points from a winning position. And I mean, I think that is a big frustration I have just this week of like 3 times we watched Dortmund concede from a winning position between the 2-2 against Bodo Glimt and then the 1-1 over the weekend. And it is frustrating because like, I mean, yeah, we can't get angry about a loss, but I'd really like to celebrate a win here. So
yeah, I think some of these like there are mistakes in them from the players for sure. For sure, there are mistakes from players. For sure, you have some mistakes from Niko Kovač, but like some people are comparing this to like the Terzic teams, and this team is the best team we've seen since Jude, left the club. Sorry, wrong Bellingham. But like even in this stretch, if you go back to like the match we lost against Bayern following that, you have like 6 wins, 5 draws. If you count I'd say 7 wins because we beat Frankfurt in the cup, even if it was on penalties. So you have 7 wins and 4 draws, 2 losses. Like that sounds a lot better to me. And if you take that like broader sample size, it is a bit better. But that's not to say that some of those performances are like where they should be. And some of the draws are honestly like a bit unlucky. Like you have the draw against Bodo Glimt, where statistically the team played very well. They probably deserved the win in terms of the finishing. And you could say the same against Stuttgart. But there's like so many of these wins that are like by 1 goal that could very easily not be. And so you just need to get a little bit more out of the squad. And I'm really talking here about Niko Kovač. Like, you would like to see them like progress a little bit. Like they ended the season on such an unbelievable pace, and part of that was very, very good performances. But it was also like a bit of luck because you did win like 8 straight or whatever it was. But it's like now, okay, what are we building towards? Like, we're not bad defensively. We're not elite yet. Is that what we're building towards? We're getting closer towards an elite defense. I'm not so sure because against Freiburg, it's even aside from the goal, there's some mistakes there. Against Bodo Glimt, it wasn't locked down. Hoffenheim, like it was a good defensive performance against a very good attacking team, but I still didn't love my defensive performance in that one. Leverkusen, you could point to, that's 2 elite defensive performances. Even in the loss. But like, what do you think we're working towards, and are we building towards something?
It's hard to say. I mean, I do think that Kovač has kind of, like you said, definitely tried to solidify the defense. But when you do see these choices like in attack, like that's where it's not clear. I mean, at the end of the day, there's 2 sides of the game, right? And even if you're building a defensive team, you still need to score the goals to win. So at the end of the day, we do need a clear message in attack as well, which I don't think we have as much of right now. But once like it's also like he's spoiled for choice a little bit too, because we do have a lot of good attackers up front as well. So it's like we've seen a lot of shifting up front as well to give players minutes and stuff like that. And that's good, but that's also not going to build stability or synergy. The thing that I've liked the best from Kovač, I've said this a million times on our pod, is when we play a front 2. I think that's when we played our best football, when we had Bayern and Adeyemi up front, even Serhu up front with another striker, Fabio Silva, and Bayer up front as well was very interesting. I think at least the constellation up front, if we can solidify that instead of going back and forth, that's going to be better for us. And I think that's when we can start saying, like, okay, we are building towards something because there's a clear image. And once again, I guess it's almost backtracking on what I'm saying with regards to the tactical rigidity that we were kind of criticizing him for. But at the end of the day, like, you do still need some sense of stability up there too, if that makes sense.
I agree with all that. I also want to ask the question about, like, what is the Borussia Dortmund identity right now, and what kind of identity is the team trying, not just the team, the club as a whole, trying to kind of build toward? I think getting a new contract for somebody like Nico Schlotterbeck could do a lot to just kind of make a statement that we have one of the best defenders in Europe, and we want to build this team into something that can compete for titles. And right now realistically, we're not going to win the Champions League, and we might be tied in second, third, okay, maybe third in Bundesliga right now. But first place is so far off, so we're not a title contender at the moment. Our longest current player right now is Julian Brandt, and I mean we might see him get an extension for one more year, but his future's kind of up in the air. So I do think there's something about like Dortmund's identity, in addition to sort of the recent history of sort of like buying these young prodigies and developing them. Sure, selling for a huge profit, but in those few years that we have the players like Erling Haaland or Jude Bellingham, they do make a big difference in the squad. Um, and I do wonder if we've lost the sort of the appeal for some young players to come to Dortmund because now that we're a few years on from Jude Bellingham, okay, we picked up another Bellingham, um, but we're not seeing a lot of young players come and shine. And I mean, Maxi Bayer's a very promising young German striker, but he's not one of these prodigies who's then going to be sold to the Premier League for 80 million. So, like, if that's not what we're doing, then are we trying to build a team that really can compete for titles? Because if we are, then I do question, I mean, some decisions around the club of, I mean, just like how old a few of our players are. And I mean, Pascal Gross isn't getting any younger, and I think there's an option for an extension for him. Marcel Sabitzer has another year on contract, I think. Um, so who, like, I don't know, Felix Mecha, is he one of the mainstays at Dortmund? Um, I don't want to give him too much criticism because I do think he played pretty well in the most recent couple games, but I don't really see his consistency as as a long-term option for Dortmund's midfield. Um, and I'm just not really sure. So I guess that is a question too, is like what is the Dortmund identity moving forward right now? And I think that's missing a little bit.
So the identity thing is something that I definitely think about a lot as well, and I feel like that's a really good point, Joey, because that identity, or at least the semblance of the identity that we have right now, is almost threatened to be kind of torn apart once again this coming summer. Because if Schlotterbeck leaves, that's one of the faces of the club, part of the identity gone. Adeyemi leaves, once again, another player that I would consider the face of Dortmund right now. If he leaves, that's another part of that identity gone. And then that kind of feeds into that problem that Joey mentioned, where it's like, well, where does the appeal to come to Dortmund come from then? Because before, we had Marco Reus, we had players that could kind of convince other players to be like, yeah, like we're going to be playing with this caliber of player. Of course we want to come to Dortmund. And I'm not saying there isn't any, reason for players to come to Dortmund, because at the end of the day, it's still like a fantastic club. The fans are amazing, and it's a fantastic platform because we're playing Champions League every year for the most part. It's been a little threatened over the years, but we've made it, right? So there's still that platform, and it's at the end of the day, we're still the second best club in the Bundesliga. Whether we finish second or not doesn't take away from that, but losing a player like Adeyemi, losing a player like Schlotterbeck, that will definitely take away from that allure from players, because I feel like that's just a big part of it. You come in and you want to play with these high caliber players. So I do think that it is very critical for Dortmund to retain these players to some degree. But if we do lose them, do I think that completely messes that up? No, I mean it'll change the shape and the face of the club for sure. And Dortmund may have to end up going back more to their roots, almost making the type of signings like Svensson. Because other clubs are doing that. Frankfurt's doing it. Leverkusen's doing it. They're all doing what we were so good at back in the early 2010s that Dortmund kind of became famous for. So it's like, do I think that it'll be harder? Yeah. Do I think that the identity will shift? Yes. Do I think it's impossible for Dortmund to rebuild from that and form some sort of identity? No. But it's going to take work, and I do think that is something that is a really good point, Joey. I think that's something that the higher ups definitely have to think about.
Yeah, like you're kind of talking about. You look at the age profiles. You have three guys that are entering their peak at four. You have Jan Koto entering his peak. You have Karim Adeyemi entering the peak, Maxi Bayer entering the peak, and Daniel Svensson. And then you have, in terms of like your peak age players, you have Nico Schlotterbeck and Felix Necha. And I know how we all feel about Felix Necha on the podcast. Some of our fans might disagree, but this is not an elite player. This is not a guy you can win the league with, in my opinion. And I really don't know how you like move on without going back to like you can't just sign a bunch of 20-year-olds to replace Schlotterbeck and Adeyemi and hope it works out. Like, for Adeyemi, I guess you have enough, like, you have Fabio Silva, who, like, I didn't include in that list because he's not playing regularly for Dortmund right now. But if he finishes the season playing regularly, I guess you can go a bit younger there. But, like, for Nico Schlotterbeck, you almost have to replace him by signing a 23-year-old, a 22-year-old, like a guy who is ready to go. And there was a guy I talked about this summer, and Scouted did a tweet on him. Because he moved to Len. It's spelled Lens. I'm sorry for my French pronunciation. But anyway, this guy moved there, and right now, he's atop of the league. Atop of the league, guys. I was saying it all summer. Mamadou Sangare, I was literally annoying people because every time we talk about who should Dortmund sign in the center of the park, I was like, let's go get this guy. This guy is good. He signed for under 10 million. He's top of League One right now. Dortmund need to have that type of transfer. Like, they can't go out and just get a 30 million pound 20-year-old who can come in and like give us a couple years before he gets sold for 3x that price. You need to go out and you need to find a peak age player that's really good. You need to probably do that with 2 or 3 guys regardless, but like Nico Schlotterbeck is not a guy you can just replace by going out and spending $30 to $40 million on some like prospect who might be good in a couple years. It's not something you can do because that's how you fall out of the Champions League places. Right now, we don't have to worry about for this season. Everything is looking like pretty stable. The odds are very high we finish in the Champions League places. We're in third. Like, we're okay. This is not shocking times. This is not even a Terzic year where it's like fourth is in question. And he didn't get there a couple times, or at least once. But regardless, I think it's time to move on and discuss our star of the week because we've been going on for a while about the state of the union. And Brian, it's been a minute for you. Who's your star of the week?
So my star is gonna be not based on this game because I don't think we really had many star performances in this game. I'm gonna go with Julian Brandt from the Bodo Glimt game. I mean, he had probably one of his best performances in a really long time. He hasn't been playing necessarily really bad or anything this year, but I'm just saying in general that was really awesome to see from him. To kind of take that game by the reins, score his goals, and contribute in a positive manner. So I just wanted to give him his flowers. So yeah, God bless.
I think that's good. I think that's a good choice, Brian. I was about to say the exact same thing with, a spiel about how nobody really stood out to me in the most recent game. However, I will switch it up and say Jan Kuto as my star. I just think he put in a couple of pretty good performances. There's even one point, I think it was maybe it was against Hoffenheim, but I think it was maybe the Bodo Glimt game where he had just an incredible run past like 5 players and should have had a beautiful assist to Guirassy, but I think Guirassy flubbed it. I've been really impressed by him in the last few weeks and really, really happy with that. a couple wins would have been better, but have to pick a star. So yeah, Jan Couto.
Listen, at the end of the day, just because they weren't wins doesn't mean you can't give a player flowers for doing well. So, and Couto's a good
exactly.
Shot, so.
Well, we only have this one match to really talk about. See, it's so hard to find another person to talk about because it's just like, how am I finding a third player right now? Like, there's not really anyone to say anything good about. I don't know. I have no one. Let's move on.
You can pass.
I'm passing. No one else deserves a star. You know what? Kareem Adeyemi, for the 1 minute he played, like, I was the 1 minute that I actually believed there was a chance we could score in the second half. So Kareem Adeyemi.
Fine.
I'll cop out for my boy.
I think that's a fair shout, actually.
And then dud of the week. I'm taking Greg. I took him last week, and I was told that he actually did not play that bad in the Champions League, and maybe he didn't. It's funny because, like, if you look at the shot stopping between Hoffenheim in this game, that accounts for about 1.6 of his post shot XG saved, which is over half of what he saved this season. But, like, the goal is entirely his fault because I don't know if it happens without the red card. And the red card is, like, he said it's his fault. And he's like, it's a miscommunication. Like, I could have played the pass better. And it's like he underhits a 10-yard ball that he never should have played. I don't know if that's a miscommunication, but that's what we talked about enough. I'm done. Okay? I'm done.
I mean, it's Greg for me too, not yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like when we were just talking about, players that are the face of the club and part of like the club's identity and all of that, I would definitely include him as one of the more experienced players that add on to that. Once again, world-class shot stopper, has saved us on numerous occasions, but in this instance, yes, this is completely on him. And it's funny because just to kind of mention like my star of the week. And just to be fair here, because when I talked about Brandt in the past, I've always been like, well, yeah, he's a positive when he scores, but then when he gives the ball away or something, it ends up being net neutral or net negative because then there's a chance on goal and there's a goal scored. It's kind of the same situation here where it's like, yeah, you know what? He's a world-class shot stopper, but if it's kind of like what you said, Eli, if you put yourself in that situation, you make that pass. We were talking about it in the chat. It's like you wouldn't have to be making those crazy saves if we weren't down to 10 men because they wouldn't be having as many chances on goal. But yeah, at the end of the day, you can't really pick anyone else. Well, you can pick someone else, but I think that, yeah, it's just this was very much on him, and it's sad to see. I hope we can just see improvement from here on out.
For the sake of choosing someone else, because I do think that while Greg is definitely deserves a lot of the blame, my dud is going to be Niko Kovač, actually. And I don't want to ring alarm bells or anything because I'm not in the Kovač out camp or anything. But I do think between both of the games in the last week, we did see a lack of tactical versatility in the second half, and I think he got the substitutions wrong both times. And when you see the team that you love concede from a winning position three times in 5 days, it's really frustrating. So we talked about it earlier. Why leave Guirassy as the player on after the red card, trying to play out the 1-0 win, which never seems to work. And the match against Bodo, there's no reason.
Not relevant to the show, Joey. That was on the last episode.
That was on the last one. You're right. I won't complain about it. But again, Kovač this time is going to get my dud, and hope to see a stronger performance on Friday.
Kareem Adeyemi 1 minute, guys. Like that's a dud. That's a dud.
Yeah,
if he's fit
exactly.
enough to play 1 minute, he can play 5. And if he can play 5 minutes, then he can score a goal in 1 minute.
Like I said,
the odds go down. I don't know.
The subs all wrong, and waiting too long to make the subs. And yeah, I mean, I had a complaint a few weeks ago in a match where it's like the 74th minute, and I'm like, there's, we have 4 more subs here. Use them. But anyway.
You would think, Joey. You would think.
You would think.
Not Kovač would think, but you would.
I would think, but I'm not a football coach.
Okay, so let's move on. We have to quickly get through our preview for the week, and that's Borussia Mönchengladbach. We actually probably have a really good record against Gladbach of late. Gladbach this year, they started in horrific form, but they are now very mid-table. They're in 11th. That's basically in line with their expected goals difference, so they're not like getting incredibly unlucky or anything. They're just doing fine. What are we expecting from this next game? Gladbach coming off of 1 win in their... Let's do math. 2 wins in their last 5, only beating Mainz and Heidenheim.
Ever the optimist that I am, I'm expecting a win, and it should be a win because you need a reaction after all these draws. You need something to snap the streak. At the end of the day, I mean, you're looking at a team with, and not saying this obviously to slander them at all, their best players are Rocco Reitz, Luka Netz, Tabakovic.
Bindy's injured.
Yeah, well, Tabakovic has 7 goals and 2 assists, I believe, this season, so he's not doing terrible.
He's playing well.
Yeah, so it's like they have threat. I mean, Reyna, I believe, played the last game as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how that reunion's going to go. It would be interesting to see him going on like a mazy run and scoring one of his wonder goals. Not hoping for that. Knock on wood. Let's not hope for that. That reunion overall, the dynamic with that's going to be interesting. I'm going to go 3-1 win. We get a reaction. We get back into a groove before the break.
I think that's fair. I do wonder about Gio Reyna as well. Knowing Borussia Dortmund as I do, former players love to score against us, so I could see what you said happening with Reyna going on a amazing run. I think with a draw or a loss in this match, it will really look like Borussia Dortmund ended the Hinrunde like fizzling out. And that's, I mean, that nobody wants to go into the winter break feeling like that. It just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And I do think if we don't win this game, that there might not be any real pressure on Kovač, but I think there might be a little bit of pressure on him from the fans. But again, like Brian, I'm an optimist here, and it's a home game, and I like to think that we should win home matches more easily than we've been able to in the last few weeks. So I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win and a game where we have a ridiculous number of shots and don't actually create that much with them.
So I'm gonna just say a bunch of ridiculous stuff right now. So Gio Reyna has 311 minutes. There is another Dortmund Academy player, or former Dortmund Academy player, to have 5 minutes for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Which one do you think has more goal contributions?
The 5 minute?
Yeah.
If you pick Charles Herman, you would be correct. In 5 minutes, he has 1 assist. Yeah, so not going well for Gio Reyna. That said, I expect a hat trick this weekend. As Dortmund win
that into existence, man. Come on now.
As Dortmund win 4-3.
It could happen.
Listen, I tried to jinx Daniel Malin into a Ballon d'Or, and it really didn't work, so I think we're safe. No, if players I wanted to scored every weekend, then Karim Adeyemi would have 50 goals this year, and That's unfortunately not the case right now. But let's move on to some other news. Joe Bellingham has been suspended for 2 Bundesliga games. Due to it being his fault, Gregor Kobel has offered to take them on his behalf. I added the last half.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not what we got here.
I don't think that's in the rules and regulations of the Bundesliga.
I wanted to ask you guys: is that standard? The 2-game suspension?
Straight red. It's not. It feels a little harsh given it wasn't that violent a foul, but
that's what I'm saying.
It's not abnormal. I think it's the rule for a straight red.
They might have changed it a year or two ago that to make it a 2-game suspension for straight red, but I'm not 100% sure because I saw that and I also thought it was a little harsh because it wasn't like a. I mean, you didn't really have a choice but to take him down in that position, and it wasn't anything. I don't know. It wasn't a dangerous play or malicious, yeah. But he's out of action till January.
Yeah, not great. Anyway, FC Barcelona is interested in Julian Ryerson and has already held talks. They would like to sign him as a replacement for Jules Koundé. Ryerson would likely leave Borussia Dortmund for a good offer, also because he doesn't have a fixed starting spot under Niko Kovač.
So this just one quick thing. The
reported by Sky Sports. Sorry, we have to give our citations first, Brian. We don't do plagiarism here.
I put the citation in, you read it later, so let's be clear on that. But what I was going to say is the word replacement should mean it should say backup technically, because I did check the translation again, and it should say backup. So not full on replacement, but just as backup. So it's weird because he'd kind of be in a similar position as he is in Dortmund, just at Barcelona. But
he could make more money. He would have to wait 10 years to receive it in installments, but he would make more dollars.
I don't know.
He would be getting paid in stock and grass from the Camp Nou.
I don't know how I feel about
print. Keep the leopard print hair in Signal Iduna Park.
I still think Ryerson has a lot to offer Dortmund. So unless it was some sort of absurd offer, I still think unless we have some sort of replacement lined up, this guy can play left back, right back. Yeah. And he's been a very useful player for us.
Mm-hmm.
I very much like him. I think his energy on the pitch, his willingness to run the full 90 minutes. Maybe not the most skillful player, but definitely a very committed player. And yeah, I mean that in itself is just useful. So unless they offer something absurd, or if we have some sort of player lined up that will revolutionize our fullback position, I don't see the sense in it. But
so, on the one hand, Julian Ryerson is great to have at Borussia Dortmund. He's great to have in your squad because of his work rate, and the path he's gotten to play in a Champions League final is a bit unorthodox, and I feel like that's given him some blue collar tendencies on the pitch, which is very good. I think the price is lower than some people would think. This is also a guy who is, I believe, 28 now, and given what you just said about his technical skill level, he's not the best fit for a back three. If we're going to continue to recruit for a back three and we're going to sign coaches who want to play a back three, or even if we don't necessarily want to do that and you just want to move on from a guy who could be a little bit riskier in the back half of his contract. He's not a player who hasn't had any injuries. I think 25 to 30 isn't I think at that point you should be able to get surplus value and replace the player for 28. He could still give you a couple more good years for sure. I'm not saying that he can't. I'm just saying that at 28, for a player that is a bit more physically reliant, it's worth a thought for sure. And Jan Koto's played better in the last few weeks, I want to say.
Different type of player, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say what kind of offer might come in for Ryerson. I mean, given his profile, I do think that, like Brian said, he has a role to play, but I mean, are we talking 20 million? Are we talking 60 million? I mean, if Barca at least wants to pretend they can spend, then um, we'll see. But
Yeah, like
I don't have too
30
much to
million
add.
euros.
30 is a fair number.
30 million euros in 2030 does not really help me. It would have to be on time Barcelona. Like I don't want Barcelona to owe me money. I'll put it that way.
Well, they paid off Dembele, what, like 2 years ago or something like that. So, like that transfer was still like hanging out in like in the background for a very long time. So yeah, I mean, you don't want that spread out.
Yeah.
Spread out.
I mean, they have a lot of debt. They have a lot of debt. But they'll just be owned by some hedge fund soon enough anyway. So that'll be sick, dude.
Ali, if you're listening, sorry.
Who?
I said Ali, if you're listening. Sorry.
Anyway, Spotify doesn't receive the money for their naming rights, so they're just the owner of 20% of Barcelona now, something like that. Anyway, Sky Sport has also released some additional reporting stating that Didi Hamann commented on Nico Schlotterbeck, saying, if he makes statements like that after the game against Bodo, I interpret it to mean that he's seriously considering staying at Borussia Dortmund. If he didn't care, he wouldn't have expressed himself in that way. I mean, I've said very similar things. But
yeah, I think that's definitely something that's been mentioned. And it is a positive spin on it, because at the end of the day, you can see it as frustration, or it's like you're frustrated because you want to be here and succeed,
Right.
So I definitely see the credibility in that, and I hope he's right. I just hope that the club can show a pathway and convince him to stay, because if this keeps happening and there doesn't seem to be a light at the end of the tunnel, well then, but
yeah, I mean, I think that is a good point that you bring up, because I've kind of been in the camp that thinks Nico Schlotterbeck will stay. I mean, he does seem to identify pretty well with the club. He has a really great opportunity in front of him, the big old contract, and most likely becoming our club's captain, if not next year if Emre Can stays, but the year after for sure. But even if Emre Can does stay, I mean, Nico Schlotterbeck is going to be sort of the captain's role. Assuming there's a new contract here, but if the results go downhill in the second half of the season, I mean, we might not even be talking about this in the second half, because Nico might sign a new contract in January or something, or during the winter break. But like you said, if the results do go downhill, I mean, he's a player who has attracted a lot of interest and could easily move to a big club for a pretty decent fee and probably be successful there. So I think there is a big, I mean, there's got to be a big push to make sure that Nico Schlotterbeck stays. And I think that, I don't know, I think somebody was telling me that Marco Reus may have a role in trying to convince the young German, because I mean, Marco Reus would be the perfect player to do that. He's somebody who had every opportunity to leave Dortmund and would have absolutely won more trophies if he had gone to Bayern Munich or to the Premier League. But he stayed at Dortmund, and I mean, like, look, he's like the quintessential club legend of the last 2 decades. So I mean, like, Nico Schlotterbeck could be that player. So we'll see. I mean, Marco Reus, Mats Hummels, Nico Schlotterbeck, maybe. Let's see.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
Right.
I really want to know it.
It's like maybe
I feel like
be like, Nico,
Sorry.
maybe one day you'll even have your own line of Dortmund branded clothing, like me, Marco. Oh, that's how he gets Adeyemi to stay. Sorry.
I felt like I read somewhere that Schlotterbeck was offered like a club record salary. Yeah, so here it is. Rumors 14? Are circulating within the club of 14 million euros per year, including bonuses per build. That one I will actually choose to believe. Like, I think that, like, it honestly sounds lower than what he would get on the open market, but it's really about if he wants an extra 8 million euros, but when you're going to be paid 50, like, are you really going to notice 8? That's like, I don't know. So it really comes down to what he wants, and he clearly has the passion that you would want to see captaining Borussia Dortmund. He has the fire, the energy. I think like his relationship with the fans is so much better than that of our current captain. He's never been yelled at by them, really. He hasn't yelled at them. That's just so much less toxic, guys. And I think like if we could get to the point where it's like Nico Schlotterbeck is literally breaking our wage structure, and we have to get a little bit more in line with some clubs that spend a bit more on their wage bill. And I honestly think he's a player that deserves that, and I think it's not unreasonable for him to ask for that. So we'll see what happens. I don't think it's just down to money. It really is, because no matter what we end up paying him, if we're able to re-sign him, it would be less than he would have gotten on the open market.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know what else there is to say on that, but
it's gonna be an interesting situation to watch.
Oh, I had one other question. Do you think that like winning this last game, against Borussia Mönchengladbach, going into the break where he's going to be more open to thinking about this because he's not going to be playing matches, do you think that this game is like the most important game remaining in our season, given we're probably not going to win the Champions League this year? We're not winning the league, almost certainly. We're out of the cup. This game could be huge in re-signing Nico Schlotterbeck.
It could be. I wouldn't want to put it down to like one game, but like if we do win it and we win it commandingly, that's more reason for him to consider. It's like, okay, we can do this, we can play in this way, we can be successful, I can be part of this, I can help be the backbone of this, I can help build this. But if it's just, sloppy and lazy and no one cares, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, because I don't think it's Schlotterbeck at all. I think he's being very professional. Like, I'll look at a player like, and this is me speculating, if we look at Guirassí's kind of progression over the last like couple weeks, I'm not gonna say he's like not caring, but it almost feels at times where he's a little checked out.
Brian, that's such clickbait.
I'm sorry. But like it kind of does feel like it at times. And I mean the constant rumor mill around him already looking like for a possible way out in the summer, that doesn't help, So like with a player like him leaving, you really want someone like Schlotterbeck to stay and to show that level of commitment, because that shows that, yeah, I am a player in my prime and I want to be here. And that's it. Kind of goes back to the whole like loss of identity, loss of backbone thing we were talking about. If players just see like, oh yeah, Guirassí left, Adeyemi left, Schlotterbeck left, no one cares, and it's like, what is the allure? Not that there, once again, reiterating what I said earlier, not that there isn't any, but it is not as much. But when you get a player like Schlotterbeck saying, yeah, pen to paper, I'm here for the long haul, we, like, Adeyemi, that might change Adeyemi's mind, for example, right? Be like, all right, yeah, we're building something here. Let's be a core of something. So I do, like, going back to what your question, I guess, I don't think it's the be-all, end-all, but I do think it will help sway in one way or the other.
I think I agree with that. I don't think this match will be the catalyst for whether or not Nico Schlotterbeck stays or transfers. But I mean, as I already mentioned, I do think going into the winter break on a win is really good for emotion, for momentum. I think it could certainly make the conversations a little bit smoother. I don't necessarily think we are going to win commandingly because we haven't really done that a whole lot. I guess you could say against Villarreal, but that may have been a generous scoreline to us. I mean, I think the more important thing is just having a good performance. If this game is a draw, but it's a resilient Mönchengladbach scores a wonder goal and Dortmund fights back and levels at 1-1, then that's a lot different than like a 2-2 or a 3-3 where we've been in the lead a couple times and conceded from those positions. Making this a statement win right before the winter break, I do think would help though. But we'll hope for the best and we'll see.
So looking at the amount of points we're on, we are level on points with RB Leipzig. Sorry, Advertising FC. Excuse me, misspoke there earlier.
Thank you. Sorry, I was going to correct you myself.
My apologies, guys. Anyway, so we're level on points with them. We are 3 points clear of 4th and 5th, as Leverkusen are also tied with Hoffenheim. But there's a huge difference re-signing your contract with a team in 4th, potentially 5th. Where's the goal difference? Actually, yeah, we could potentially end up in 5th with a loss. So, must win, not necessarily, but it's pretty important just in terms of, like, you're negotiating, like, making sure Nico Schlotterbeck's happy, stuff like that. Like, you really need to win this game. And I believe Advertising FC's against Bayern. Oh no, they're against Leverkusen. So yeah, you're staying in the top 4 pretty much, like, guaranteed almost.
At least one of them's dropping points.
Yeah, you probably I'm anticipating it to be the Advertisers. Could be either. But regardless, you win, you could be in 2nd, just off goal difference. So,
yeah, regardless,
like that makes a difference.
Because we're I think like 1 goal behind Leipzig on goal difference. Is that right? So it's like with the win
1 ahead of Leverkusen.
With a statement win, regardless of if Leipzig wins by 1 goal and we win by 3, then we could very well still. It could be in our hands, being in 2nd, heading into the Rückrunde.
Screw it. Win by 6. Guarantee it, dude.
Let's do it.
It's crazy because, like, with this last, like, draw, if we'd won this, we'd be 6 points behind Bayern. And that, like, completely changes the perspective because it's like, theoretically, you have a race there. Theoretically.
Yeah, it'd
be 7,
really
but yes.
Oh, 7? I thought it was 6. My bad.
I'm even just closing the gap a little bit because we all remember, I think it was Lucien Favre's first season where Dortmund were 9 points clear at the top of the table heading into the winter break. So we very much know that 9 points is it's a lot of points, but it's not out of the realm of possibility of overtaking it. But 7 looks better than 9, looks better than 12.
And you can also think about Terzic's season where we almost won the title. I think we were 9 points behind Bayern that season.
That's right where we are, baby. But it could be 6 if we win and Bayern lose to Czech's Notes Heidenheim.
Oh.
Yeah, that's going to be about 10-0. I don't know.
It'll be a hat trick from Kane, a couple from Leonard Carl, and...
They'll pull some other 16-year-old out of their academy. He'll get 4.
We got Joe. Does Erling have any younger siblings?
He's got some distant relatives. I don't know. Anyway, let's quickly get into the top 5 of our Bundesliga fantasy. And so our top 5 in the Dortmund Dispatch Fantasy Bundesliga, still supercalifragilistic in the top spot. Beckenbauer in 2nd. Heinz of Bayer in 3rd.
Nice.
Red Munich in 4th. And Stags Reserves in 5th, with my friend not getting her name shouted out today because she dropped out of the top 5. Get wrecked, kid. And I'm still in the top 20, baby. Top 20. Of 200, so that's actually not bad. So
Go
almost
Pints
200.
for Bayer.
Not quite.
I just love that name.
Just a quick thing, guys. Joey, you mentioned Holland and having family members. He actually does have a cousin that's a striker, and his name's Albert, and I'm sorry for mispronouncing this, Albert Tjalland. Pretty damn good stat for
How old is he?
For him.
How old is he?
He plays for Bern. Let me see. I'm curious.
Bern? In Switzerland? Or
Yeah. No. Bern in Norway.
Oh, okay. You mean
21.
Bran?
Carson
I don't know how to
Kramer,
pronounce it,
Sebastian Kiel. Are you guys listening right now? Get on this.
21 years old. I don't know how he's doing this season necessarily. I don't see all of his numbers here, but he is related, so.
Hey, you never know.
Anyway, that'll do it for us. Have a good one.
Jadon Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce out. Another fantastic goal by Marco Royce. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond
Jetzt
compare.
kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inso an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!